All right, let's talk about something that might seem a little backwards. It's this idea called financial solitude. We're going to explore how being quiet, how being focused and independent, well, that might just be the real key to building wealth. So let's dive right in.
You know, think about it. You walk into any room, right? Who gets all the attention? The loudest person, for sure, but who really holds the power? A lot of the time, it's the quietest one in the corner. See, we're always taught that success has to be loud and flashy. Well, today, we're going to flip that script completely.
And the key to unlocking that quiet power, it's what we're calling financial solitude. Look, it's this core idea that your biggest asset isn't your portfolio or your bank balance. No, it's your ability to just walk your own path, to think for yourself, and to act with real intention. Okay, so first things first, let's really dig into this myth of loudness. Why are we so obsessed as a culture with this idea that success has to be some kind of big, noisy performance?
I mean, if you ask the world, this is what wealth is supposed to look like, isn't it? It's all about that loud hustle culture, showing off on social media, jumping on every single trend. It's a game, really. A game of looking rich, which is a whole different thing from being rich.
But here's the big question, the one we're really digging into today. What if all of that, what if it's just a distraction? What if your real financial strength comes from the ability to just disconnect from all that noise and forge your own path? And that idea leads us right here to the high cost of crowds. Because there is a hidden price, both psychologically and financially, to constantly trying to fit in. And trust me, it's a lot steeper than you might think. It all starts with something called the dopamine trap. You know that little rush you get from a like or a compliment? That's it. It's a chemical hit of approval that gets our brains hooked on validation from others. And when that happens, it literally stops us from thinking for ourselves and making our own powerful decisions. And then there's this thing called cognitive load. Ever leave a party or a meeting and just feel completely drained, even if it was just small talk? That's because your brain was working overtime, processing all these tiny, subtle cues and social patterns that others might miss. And man, does that burn up a ton of mental energy. So you put it all together. All that precious mental energy you spend just trying to fit in, it's draining the exact cognitive bandwidth you need for deep strategic thinking. You just can't build an empire when your brain is totally exhausted from playing a social game. Okay, so if following the crowd is so costly, what's the alternative? Well, it's solitude. And I want to be really clear here. We're going to reframe this. This isn't about being lonely. This is about solitude as your single greatest strategic asset. See, when you give yourself that space, when you walk alone, your brain can shift into something called deep processing mode. Think of it like cognitive quiet. It's in this state that you can finally connect the dots that everyone else is missing. You start linking ideas from totally different places to come up with truly innovative strategies. And this mindset flows directly from that solitude. Think about this quote. Time is continuous, not divided into chapters. The most successful people don't wait for New Year's or for some perfect moment to start. Why? Because they see time for what it is, a continuous flow. They act when the logic makes sense, not when the calendar gives them permission. And this right here, this is the critical shift in mindset. You're not being antisocial because you value your time and energy. No. You're being selectively accessible. You are the gatekeeper. You decide who and what gets access to your most precious resource. All right, so this all sounds great in theory, but how do we actually do it? Let's get practical. This next part is all about the toolkit, the actual mental habits that quiet achievers use every day. It all kicks off with mastering what you could call the art of the pause. So imagine the market tanks and you feel that jolt of fear. That's the emotional trigger. Instead of reacting instantly, you consciously create a mental gap, a little bit of space. And it's only from inside that calm space that you then execute a logical, strategic response. And there's actually a name for this kind of discipline. It's called System 2 Dominance. All it means is you've trained yourself to choose your slow, rational brain over your fast, emotional, reactive brain. And let me tell you, that one skill, it's a financial superpower. And the best part? You don't build this with some massive, heroic effort. You build it with something called Kaizen. It's just the idea of making tiny 1% improvements every single day. That kind of micro progress is sustainable, it builds momentum, and eventually that discipline just becomes second nature. Okay, so we've talked about offense,
Now let's talk about defense. Because building wealth in solitude isn't just about the moves you make, it's about what you protect. And what you're protecting is your own mental space.
Think about it like this. Every single trend you follow, every post you make just for approval, you're trading a little piece of your real identity for a quick hit of attention. And over time, that trade-off has a huge cost. But on the flip side, when you reclaim your privacy, you gain so much more. You protect your peace of mind. You create a sense of mystery, which, believe it or not, is a form of influence itself. You build internal stability that can't be shaken. And you secure this incredibly rare type of power in a world that's just overexposed.
And all of this leads us to the final and, honestly, the most important point of all. It's about making a decision. It's about finally closing that gap between one day I'll do this and today is day one.
And look, this might be a tough pill to swallow, but it's the truth. Your future self is not coming to save you. There's no magical version of you that's just going to show up one day with more discipline or more money. The person you want to be, they're built by the choices you make right now, today. So if you remember anything, remember this. Real intelligence, real power, real wealth, it's not loud. It's controlled. It's anchored and disciplined from the inside out. So I'll leave you with this one question to think about. What is the one small, quiet, independent action you can take that will make today your day one? Because that path of financial solitude, it's waiting for you.